All right. Okay, welcome back to Kamen Review episode 203. Just 2 episodes of time because I have a stream to do right after this. We're discussing episodes 26 and 27 of Kamen Rider Decade. And this is the 2-part tribute to the last 2 series released under the Showa era, that being Black and Black RX. And there's something very interesting about this, so I'll get to it. So, they write about the world of Black RX. Now, this is the second time they've done this, where they tease something in that painting they pull in the studio, and you don't see it. Because they teased the Great Crisis spaceship. You would think, oh, maybe they're going to bring back some villain from the show Black RX for this 2-parter. That will be a no. There is somebody representing the Crisis Empire, and there's a mention of the Crisis Emperor. But if you're thinking if you're going to feature any villains from that show, forget about it because they don't have that here. So you have Kotaro. Not Kotaro. You have actually Kotaro. He does pop up in the story. We have Tatsuya, where he basically is dressed up as Joe the Haze, and he's mistaken for Joe the Haze because of the way he dresses. And then, of course, they're walking around wondering what world this is, and then they're confronted by a robot who, first time he introduced himself, he used it as the greatest weapon of the Crisis Empire. And then in the next episode, he joins, well, we'll get to basically what he joins up with. Because it is fascinating, the fact that, so, yeah, this guy is called, he's a demon robot named Savarion. Yeah, he's part of the Crisis Empire, except that, here's the thing. Well, before we see him, we see the Chaps. Which I think this was the first in the Chaps ever on TV since 1989. Well, that was when the last episode aired for Black RX. That was the last time they ever appeared. I found it quite fascinating we included the Chaps here. Yeah, I did not really expect to see him in this story. But I thought it was awesome. The fact they included them. Oh yeah, definitely. For me. Yeah, because the last time it appeared was in the final episode of Black RX. I believe it was the last time he ever appeared in the show, which last episode was A Shining Tomorrow, which aired back in December 24th, 1989. That was the last time they ever appeared. And then they appear here for this very story. And then, of course, we have Taisuke, Yusuke, and Natsumi, where there's a guy in a white outfit in front of them, and it's Kotaro, where he transforms into Black RX using the same henshin pose and everything. Great to see the guy again. Oh my gosh, it is so cool the fact he's here. And this is the same actor from the show, which good on basically for doing that. And I did finally, and recently, I saw this panel. Someone I know went to this panel at Ranger Stop about a couple weeks ago. He was asked how did that come about? Apparently, one of the producers of Decade contacted him and proposed this whole idea of appearing on the show and appearing as like 2 separate cultures as Black and Black RX. And he apparently agreed to it, and he appears in the show, and after this 2-parter, We see him again in a movie, and then afterwards, I think it was like 2 movies. He comes back for 2 movies after this. Yes, believe it or not, Culture comes back for 2 movies. You're like, really? Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing. The actor who played him is Tatsuo Yuso. Yeah, he's back here. Same actor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's back here for this 2-parter, and then he's back again for a movie that comes out it was set between 29 and 30, and then he comes back for officially like 1 movie, and that was Super Attention GP Kamen 3, where he's once again playing himself, Kotaro, and playing Black and Black RX. And that was the last special time he ever played it. So in a way, in the case of Decade, when he appeared on this show for this 2-parter, which by the way was released in 2009, this was probably the first time in almost exactly 20 years. My guess is the reason why they did this because it probably was 20 years since RX, so I guess I figured though, why not include him? And of course he's fighting Demon Lord for a while, and then Apollo Guest shows up. Except it's not the same one from X. No. It's a completely different guy. It is a AR version of him, who simply knows Guy. Yeah. And the thing is, his suit is updated. Yeah, his suit's updated. Because in the original show, Apollo Guest, which I do gotta praise the fact the actor who plays in this one, who is not the same guy from the original show, I do gotta praise the fact they can put him in a white suit, which good enough for that. When he was Apollo Guest, they also have the gun and the shield, which I thought was really cool. The shield looks very similar to the one they had on RX, except here's the thing. So, the helmet is a little different. Yeah. Yeah, they actually updated it. Yes, let me show you on here. Let me. So, excuse me. So, this is what Apollo Guest looks like. He looked like on the 70s show before his redesign. This is the original look for him when he first showed up. His second look is similar to what he did when he appeared in the Heisei era with a little arrow thing, which they changed to something else. So, and then they have him appear here. Design-wise, it's not much different from his. I would say, like, the only major change they made to his outfit here, which, by the way, this is what Apollo Guest looks like when he appeared on Decade. I would say the biggest difference between this and when he appeared in the 70s, which I think at the time when this came out, because he actually died in the original show. Yeah, he died in X. And they mentioned, oh yeah, he's from the world of X Rider, which I thought that was interesting. And in case you're curious, though, is the original one still technically dead? Well, by the time this came out, he was definitely dead. He actually died in episode 21 of the original show, which came out in 1974. So at the time this came out, it was, oh my gosh, 35 years since his last appearance, which, oh my gosh, 35 years exactly since the character's last appearance on screen. Yeah, it's a redesign of the character, just a little more darker in color because it's the Heisei era. I do gotta praise the fact that, yeah, it may not be the same actor, but I love the fact he fought RX, which good him for that got hands to fight Kamen X, which fantastic things from that world, and he's part of the mass organization known as Die Shocker. Except that he's the only show era like villain that show up here because The first villains they show off here are two monsters from two Heisei series. They have engines from Deno, and the figure-ups, I believe, from Kiva. Interesting that they have one from X, which was the third Showa era series, and the last two for before this one. And then they also include the Rhinoceros monster from, which he's like, not exactly, I don't know if it's the same villain per se, but they included him here. Me. I mean, he was a representation of the Grongi. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Rhinoceros mutant who appeared in this two-parter, is it the same monster from the original show? It's implied to be. Yes, it's the same monster. But unlike in the original, now you're probably thinking, was it destroyed by Black? Well, it was destroyed by Black RX. This one, this was technically the first time it appeared. It last appeared during Kamen World. That was the time it appeared. That short, which has not been well received, that was released in 1994, and this was released in 2009. So it's been 15 years since he was seen ever. But first time appearing on television since July of 1988. So it had been 21 years since his defeat at the hands of me. During the events of RX, like, it was good to see him again. Yeah, and then of course, basically, like, Joe Hayes is missing. Of course, he presumed dead, but he's really not. He's not in this two-parter. That's the weird thing about this two-parter. He's not here. He's mentioned. Joe Hayes was a character from RX. Maybe the reason why they couldn't get him because either they couldn't find an actor for him or they probably couldn't get their hands on the original actor. I don't know. So, and then they opens a portal to another world, and it's the world of Kamen Rider Black, and you can tell because the blackness and the thing that he does, and it's of course the same actor from the original show, obviously, and he puts in the suit, which in a way, this is the first time that the actor who plays Kotaro, this is the first time he's kind of been been the original Black suit, probably since that Black RX movie, but on TV, first time since 1988, which could see it again. They fight briefly, and of course he knows about Apollo X, and some of these are monsters here for this. Oh, by the way, also Natsumi, she gets nearly her life sucked out of her by Apollo Guest, who's had this purifier thing, which I wonder if that's a nod to X. Now, he did have that thing on his face, on the helmet, he did as he did in the original series, but that was with his second outfit. It was a super Apollo Guest. Interesting, he could take it off now, because originally he never had that thing on there, which could have been basically for doing that. And yes, kind of in a way, he is not defeated in this point by X. He is actually beaten by, well, we'll get to that. So, and then he gets back to RX's world. Briefly, he does briefly fight Kuga. Well, this Yosuke anyway is not the original Kuga, by the way. He's never come back anyways. But this overall was a lot of fun. Like, okay, well, let's see. So, and then they fight off and back at RX's world, and they have basically the two Kotaros. Basically, thanks to a new card that he just happened to pull out of his deck, becomes Commander Black, and then Decade just Diane takes the card and makes a copy of it. Well, copy of Kotaro, and then of course they both transform into Black and Black RX respectively, which kind of in a way this was a nod to the move, which they did have that there, except they have a transformation, but they did have the two rays on screen at the same time. And of course they made a crap out of basically monsters from Fives. Yes, seriously. They fight monsters from Fives. Not monsters on the show, basic Fives. And then they're the ones kind of be Apollo Guest after Taka basically gets purifier thing, and everything's fine. And that's Shock to make his move, and a couple interesting endings this one, because the next world he's going to is the world of Kamen Rider Amazon. Which I should point out, though, I looked up who plays him. It's not the original actor. Nope. Apparently he's retired. As for why he's never come back to the show, I don't know. But also, we get a tease of this. I can tell who it is just by, even though it's in shadow, I can obviously know who this is. Because at the end of episode 27, we get the first appearance on TV since 1988 of Shadow Moon. Yes. I'm like, that is quite cool. The fact that he's back here for this. First time in the Haste era before he appeared in the ancient movies, which was awesome. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Did I think they did a good job paying tribute to both Black Emperor X in these 2 episodes? I definitely think so. Definitely. There are elements from both shows. A little bit from Black, a little more from RX. But overall, a lot of fun. And we get a lot more set up for the last. We're building to the end of this thing. And that's the basic of 52 episodes. I now have only 4 more to go. 4 more. And that's it. Yep, because I reached 27. There's like 31 left to go. 31 overall. So 4 to go. And then that's it. Okay, next video. Bye.